Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. I do appreciate you being with me. Hey, listen, before we get into the video this morning, I want to remind you Preterist Pilgrim Weekend is coming up July 9th through the 11th. Now, don't forget, we have canceled the on-site seminar. We will not be at the Ardmore Convention Center. However, what we are doing is we're putting together, thanks to the fantastic efforts and work of Alan Morton, my webmaster. He's just doing a fantastic job of organization. And our speakers are each producing their lessons on video. And Alan is going to be arranging their speeches and the entire seminar as if it was on site. All right? And it will be aired on the date in which we would normally be together. And obviously, it will be archived after that. So it'll be something for you to look forward to because our theme is the book of Revelation. I know that we have John Watson, who's going to be speaking to us on Revelation chapter 17 and the identity of Babylon. He's going to be talking to us about the war. Scott Fisher is going to be talking to us about the synagogue of Satan, and he's going to be talking to us about what it means to dwell in the tabernacle of God. And, we just got some really good stuff coming up. Oh, Daniel Rogers is going to be talking to us about the letters to the seven churches of Asia and their eschatological message as it relates to the book of Revelation. And, of course, William Bell will be talking to us about what? Well, we're waiting on William's lesson titles. This maybe will prompt him a little bit. And my lessons are going to be the destruction of creation and the end of the millennium. In synopsis form, here's the gist of what I'll be presenting. No one disagrees with the fact that in Revelation chapter 20, destruction is destroyed at the end of the millennium. Well, guess what? Prior to Revelation chapter 20, creation is destroyed 2 other times. Really? So this is kind of troublesome. Does anyone honestly, seriously believe that heaven and earth, that the material creation is destroyed 3 times at some point in the future? No one believes that. But guess what? You have to, if you're going to take the book of Revelation in any kind of a sequential pattern, chronologically sequential, like the dispensationalists do. And oh, by the way, the amillennial and the postmillennial views don't help either. So, be looking forward to that. I'll have 3 lessons on this subject. So, anyway, be looking for that. Oh, and don't let me forget, Alan Morton has set up a virtual Preterist Pilgrim Weekend book table. Every year at our regular seminar, we have 3 or 4 tables full of books, and we offer incredible discounts, and of course you save on shipping. So what we've done this year, what Alan has put together, is that we're going to have our book tables. And not only that, on any order over $15 or more, we are going to pay shipping. So you're going to get the great discounts. You're going to get the great Preterist Pilgrim Weekend discounts. And in addition to that, you're going to get free shipping. So, look, I really hate that we can't get together in person. But you're going to be able to get the full benefit, with the exception of the person-to-person fellowship, the full benefit of Preterist Pilgrim Weekend 2020, including the great book discounts and including free shipping. Now, speaking of the book table at Preterist Pilgrim Weekend, after a lot of consultation, my wife and I decided that we're not going to have a special deal in June, a special package deal, except I have mentioned several times in my videos the Torah to Telos package. Now, if you go to the bookstore on my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com, you will find that 3-volume set. Torah to Telos, the passing of the law of Moses, Volume 1. Elijah has come, a solution to Romans 11:25-27, Torah to Telos, Volume 2, and the resurrection of Daniel chapter 12 and verse 2, future or fulfilled, Torah to Telos, Volume 3. We have those on there at a great price, so take advantage of that, but be looking for Preterist Pilgrim Weekend, July 9th through the 11th, and it will air on YouTube. We'll be putting up links to a ton of Facebook pages. It'll be on my websites, so be looking for that. Take advantage of that. All right. Pardon me. We are continuing our discussion of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 36. This passage that many, if not most commentators consider to be the most significant passage in Matthew 24 to talk about the so-called end of time. It supposedly, Kenneth Gentry has been doing some writing on this. Kenneth Gentry believes that Matthew 24:36 is definitive proof of a division of subject matter in the Olivet Discourse. Matthew 24:4-34 or verse 35, AD 70. Verse 36 through chapter 25:46, according to Mr. Gentry, is the end of time. Now don't forget, as I've shared with you, that entire argument is based upon the presupposition, number one, that the apostles asked about an end of time. It is based upon the presupposition that the apostles, secondly, were confused because they inadvertently, confusedly, ignorantly conflated the destruction of the temple with that supposed presuppositional theology, end of time. So when commentators come to Matthew 24:36 and tell us, well, you see, here's a subject break, they don't tell you about their basic presuppositions. The apostles were ignorant and confused, and the apostles were wrongly conflating the fall of Jerusalem and the end of time. Now, I've shared with you, and almost out of time already today, I've shared with you that to ignore, to overlook, or to be ignorant, boy, I was for so many years, to be ignorant of the fact that when Jesus said, but of that day and hour knows no man, he was using virtually verbatim language from Israel's Jewish calendar. Listen, the Feast of Trumpets, otherwise known as Rosh HaShanah, was the distinctive, the only Jewish feast out of all 7 feast days that they did not know exactly and precisely when it was to take place. It was to start at the new moon. Well, guess what? As I've already pointed out, fog, overcast skies might prevent that. And so as a result of the uncertainty of knowing exactly and precisely when the new moon had appeared, they called it the feast, the unknown day, of the unknown day. And they said, no man knows the day or the hour. So what I'm suggesting to you is that when Jesus, pardon me, that when Jesus used that language taken directly out of Israel's feast days, it was part of the vernacular of the time. And here's Jesus, he's just been over at the temple where Rosh HaShanah was celebrated, and he's talking about the destruction of that temple, and he says, but of that day and hour knows no man. And we are supposed to completely ignore that social, theological context what the German scholars call the Sitzenleben, the life situation. We are supposed to overlook the fact, ignore the fact, that he is using language that every single Jew of the day knew was linked to the Jewish festivals. To hear some commentators talk today, you would think that Jesus was simply drawing out that language out of the thin air, with no social context, with no theological context, with no context of the Jewish feast days whatsoever. What Jew in their right mind would ever use that terminology in that way? But to drive home the point that Rosh HaShanah was an eschatological feast anticipating the day of judgment that Jesus was foretelling, I want to share with you, and I got to do this very quickly here. Rosh HaShanah had 12 names. Now I want you to listen to each one of the names. I cannot expound on them, but I want you to listen to each one of the names and ask yourself, does that sound eschatological? All right? Does that sound like the last day's judgment? Here we go. First name, Teshuvah, the time of repentance. Number 2, Rosh HaShanah, which meant the head of the year or the birthday of the world or time of new beginnings. Number 3, Yom Teruah, the day of the awakening blast. The awakening blast. Yom Hadin, the day of judgment. That's right. Rosh Hashanah was called the day of judgment. Hamilish, the time of the coronation of the Messiah. Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembrance or memorial. And I tell you, that's heavy-duty stuff right there. Anyway, the time, the blasting of the trumpet, the time of Jacob's trouble, also known as the birth pangs of Messiah. Number 8, the opening of the gates. That's, by the way, from Psalms 24. Anyway, the Kiddushin or Nizuin, it's the time of the wedding ceremony. Number 10, the time of the resurrection. Number 11, the last trumpet. Sound familiar? Number 12, Yom HaKashish, I apologize for that. Yom HaKakish, or the hidden day. You know, the day that no man knows the day or the hour. Now, given the fact that the early Jews referred to Rosh Hashanah in these 12 ways, once again, are we to assume, are we to argue, are we to even think that when Jesus used the language, the terminology of Rosh Hashanah in the context of his discussion of the fall of Jerusalem, that he was, in fact, changing subjects? Well, if he was changing the subject, listen to me carefully, and please catch the power of this. If Jesus is changing the subject from the time of the judgment on Jerusalem that was coming to the day of judgment that is yet to come, then that means that the Rosh Hashanah judgment in fulfillment of Israel's feast days, i.e. in fulfillment of the law of Moses, is still future. Oh, but wait. If the day of judgment of Rosh Hashanah is still unfulfilled, according to the commentators on Matthew 24:36, then that means that not one jot, not one tittle of the law has passed, and that the law of Moses will endure as valid and binding and imposed until that future day of Rosh HaShanah. I'm sorry, folks. You can't make Matthew 24:36 a discussion of a yet future day of judgment without binding the law. And we got more on this. So I'll see you on the flip side.